Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Red Devil's Disciples over here. It's your boy Rob, and we have just watched Aston Villa versus Manchester United, and what a game. Start off, it was the 5th place Aston Villa versus 6th place Man United. Big win for us, which takes us 5 points away from Aston Villa, who are a position above us, and takes us 6 points away from the top 4, which is, again, it's a big step forward for us. Before I carry on, a big shout out to a few people. Big shout out to Peanut, Kiki and Nanonite, who are watching me live at the moment, so thank you very much, guys. Okay, but back to the football again. The danger today was if we lost, we went 11 points behind the top 5, should we say, and we would have lost any ground we would have made up over the last few weeks. It was a must-win game for us today, or definitely at the very least a must-not-lose game. And Eric Ten Hag is now going with the mentality of every game is a final, and I couldn't agree more with him. If we want to end up in a Champions League spot, we need to win every game that we can moving forward, get every point that we can get. In terms of the first half, Villa Park did not let down today. The atmosphere that we saw in the stadium today was absolutely fantastic, and I've got to give credit to the away fans. They did not let down until the end of the game. They were frustrated at times by us, which is normal, when you're playing a team like Manchester United, but they did so well today in terms of keeping the atmosphere up. The first 10 minutes was, I've got to say, it was pretty much dominated by Villa, and we just had to weather that initial storm. And then we sort of took over the game a little bit from there, where we sort of woke up, but it became sort of an end-to-end game, with the goal coming by essentially a cross from a corner kick, Harry Maguire jumping and leaping and heading the ball down to Rasmus Højlund, who got on the end of it and slotted it home by knocking it through Martinez's legs. What I would say is that until this point, Maguire had won a few corner kick headers already, and he looked like he was gaining momentum, and you could see something was coming. He was quite dominant in the air, both offensively and defensively today. And then apart from that, what we really got post-goal was Aston Villa sort of ramping the heat up, and sort of pressing quite high, and you could see that we really struggled with a pressing team today. They got quite a few big chances today, and I've got to give props here, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Andre Onana, who was that guy today? I don't know how much he knew about the saves he was making, but boy, he was in the right spot every time, and at least give him credit for that. The first one was a cover and a save, which was he's sort of playing as a sweeper keeper. Ball came over the top, headed the ball away. Unfortunately, he did head the ball into the path of an opponent, and then McQueen, not Lightning McQueen. Thank you, Minimoto, for having that in my head. But McQueen sort of took the shot, and Onana made a great save at the end of the day. And then the next one was Varane got caught out of position, pushed forward too far. Maguire was marking his man. There was a 1-2, and all of a sudden, Ollie Watkins was in on a 1-on-1 with Onana. And Onana put his body on the line, went straight out for him, made a great save, held strong, and then got clattered by Rafael Varane. Rafael Varane today, not a great game in my opinion, left us vulnerable at times. But he did play a good ball out to Garnacho at one point, and Garnacho sort of got in behind. Should have done a little bit better. He tried to cross it to Højlund. I think that was one of those times where I'm asking you to drive your foot through the ball and smack it into the back of the net. And we saw this repeatedly happening in terms of over the ball, balls over the top, and Onana having to come out and play sweeper keeper today, which I think actually probably suits him better than playing with a line that plays quite deep. And what we saw was United still looking dangerous, especially in aerial duels. For some reason today we had a lot of balls up in the air, and Harry Maguire really showed his dominance there. At the half, it ended up 1-0, and at half-time, Luke Shaw got subbed out for Victor Lindelof, who ended up playing left-back. And unfortunately, from this point, we looked vulnerable at the back. And it's not specifically to do with Lindelof. I think it's more to do with the fact that you've got a centre-back playing out at left-back. You had Bailey out there, whose pace is immense. It's very hard to keep up with him. We looked good going forward. It just defensively we looked very vulnerable at this point, and Villa just kept ramping up the pressure and sort of slowly gaining confidence and momentum and pressing higher and higher throughout the game, to the point where you could sort of see the goal coming, where unfortunately off a corner. We cleared it. It kind of bounced around. No one really got to it. It got cleared like scruffily, it fell to a player, and Bruno should have really closed out his man and didn't quite close out the ball. And as the cross shot came in, Douglas Luiz was there, who had lost Varane. Not like he made any movements, he just stood still, but somehow he still managed to lose Varane and score a goal. Who then he gave it the whole little shoulders celebration, you know. And then from there, Rashford, we were getting overrun in the midfield, and I think Erik ten Hag made a tactical substitution there to take off Marcus Rashford on the left and bring in Scott McTominay. And what happened from that point on, he moved Bruno Fernandes, who, you know, was sort of abandoning his position to get forward because he saw space, to the right wing, and then sort of put McTominay in the attacking midfielder position. But he gave a bit more cover than Bruno was given, and this obviously changed a lot of the game. It really killed Aston Villa's momentum going forward and sort of quietened the game down and allowed us to sort of assert control again and just patiently work our way back up the pitch. And then what we saw was, from that tactical change, we saw us sort of getting forward a little bit more, you know, and a couple minutes before our second goal, what we saw was Unai Emery, you know, using his feet, was on his feet, screaming and shouting at his players, because he sensed something was coming. And when the goal went in, it actually panned to him, and you just saw him frustratedly sitting on his chair, you know. But essentially, the second goal came down the right wing. Diego Dalot, who'd had a pretty quiet game, let's be honest, until this point, put in an absolute cross. Sort of reminded me a little bit of level crosses that we used to get from David Beckham on the regular. And Scott McTominay just came on the end of it, you know, with a great header. There's not much Martinez could have done to save it. It was flying because the speed of the cross was coming in at. All he needed to do was direct it. Worth mentioning that Scott McTominay is actually joint top scorer in terms of goals from benches this year in the Premier League. And very much in true Man United fashion, we got a late winning goal. But at the end of the game, after the goal, it just went quiet, almost like we killed the game off. And Ten Hag at this point, I think it was the 92nd minute, subbed in Amrabat and Evans to sort of solidify, and he took out Mainu and Højlund, so he went quite defensive there. And I think there was not much Aston Villa could do at this point. The game was over and we were closed down there. In terms of stats, you saw we actually didn't have most of the possession. It's exactly what I said in the pre-game that would happen. So United had 44% possession, 17 shots, 5 on target, with Aston Villa having 23 shots and 10 on target. But it's what I expected. I said that in the preview that Villa would be quite dominant. I said they would be taking over for the game and we'd have to look to hit on the counter, and that's exactly what happened in today's game. But yeah, in terms of the squad, this was actually my predicted squad, and it was actually the squad that Ten Hag went with. Obviously, Luke Shaw got subbed off at half-time for Victor Lindelof, but this was what we went with today. Regarding player ratings, Andre Onana, right, well, I've given him a 7.5 today. Pleasantly surprised with his performance. The first time he was really called into action was the 24th minute, where he makes a good save after a decent cover, almost playing like sweeper keeper. He had a one-on-one with Ollie Watkins, like I mentioned before, and made a great save. Made a few other good saves moving on. Some of them, I'm not sure how much he actually knew. Some of them just hit him on the chest, and some of them just seemed to be in the right position at all times. But I suppose that's what a good keeper does, right? And I thought he had a very solid game, so I've given him a 7.5 today. At left back, we had Luke Shaw start off the game. He had a solid first half, came off at half time. He looked a little bit dangerous but didn't really provide much, so I've given him a 5.5, which I think is a fair reflection of a half's worth of work. On the right back we had Diego Dalot, who had quite a quiet game, to be fair. He was at one point responsible at the right back position where there was miscommunication between him, Mainu and Varane, and they all stepped up, leaving Ollie Watkins open, but it was one of those where he had a quiet game. 86th minute, just stepped up, put in a great cross, and McTominay sort of like flew into that, almost looking like Superman. So I've given him a 6.5. In terms of Rafa Varane, I think Rafa Varane had a pretty poor game, and he will be thanking his keeper, will be thanking Maguire, and will be thanking McTominay and Højlund for getting him out of trouble today. And the reason I say that, he lost his man to have Onana on one-on-ones. He almost looked like he was laggy and lacking in legs. So you saw a few times where the balls over top, he went to sprint but never quite accelerated to sprint. So Onana would end up getting there. He just looked uncomfortable with ball control, almost like he was going to lose it. I remember one incident with Bailey, however you say it, and he was fighting him, and Varane is much bigger than he is, but he just couldn't get the ball out of under his feet. And then the goal for Douglas Luiz, he just sort of, he was with him one point, dropped back behind the keeper, and then just didn't step back up to him, left him alone, and that's why he was open in the box to get that goal in the first place. So I've given Varane a 5 out of 10 today. I thought he had a bad game for his standards, but that's okay. We move on from there. Harry Maguire had a great assist in the first half from a corner, jumped up, won the headed it down to Højlund, who just tapped into the back of the net through Martinez's legs. He always looked like a threat, both offensively and then defensively. He looked really solid because a lot of the balls were up in the air, and he won most of the aerial duels. So I thought he had a really good game today. And to be honest with you, my man of the match would have been between Onana and Maguire. So I'm going to name them both joint man of the matches from me, which is, considering that they're the two that I highlighted in the pre-match that were my concerns, it was nice to be proven wrong by them. And then in front of them we had Casemiro, was solid, closing down, played okay, relatively quiet game, but quite frankly I'm happy with that if he just nullifies the opponent's threat. And then Kobbie Mainoo beside him was very similar. I've given them both 6.5s. Again, very quiet game, cool, calm, controlled. Both got a booking today. They both closed down well, they covered well, so it was nice to see that both of them keep working well as a pair. In front of them we had Bruno. I gave him a 6 out of 10 today. Never really got going, abandoned his position quite a bit. He had some good passes and good outlets, like sort of quick fire breakaways, but the problem wasn't there. The problem was defensively. He would quick fire forward, lose the ball, or after we lost the ball in transition, wouldn't get back in time. And then the second half, we started seeing a bit more of him towards the end of the game. Once he moved to right wing, I actually thought, he played a little bit better there, but it was too short a period of time to sort of give a good rating on there. So I've given him a 6 out of 10 today. Garnacho, I've given him a 6.5. Looked dangerous, but didn't really have that end product. There were times where he got away, the times where he looked threatening. He's very exciting to watch, but just that end product was lacking in the end. Rashford, I've given a 6 out of 10. Rashford was subbed off for McTominay, but he had a couple of good runs. Won the free kick, which soft free kick in my opinion, but it led to the first goal, and really wasn't at his best today. But obviously what I would say is good to see him out there and running at people again. I just want to see more from him, And then Rasmus Højlund, I thought had a good game again today, with a 7.5. Looked dangerous, looked like he was on his toes at all times. This guy is like a bruiser and a hustler put into one. He will fight for every ball and sort of get in there. But he was living off scraps today, which was a bit of a shame. I'd like to see him in an environment where he is, getting more service. The subs today, we had Lindelof for sure at half-time. Looked vulnerable for a bit, but grew into the game, so well done by him. McTominay for Rashford, 73rd minute, and what can I say other than he got us a winner? So it was a great sub by Erik ten Hag, so I've got to give him credit there. He realised the situation in the game, made adjustments accordingly to sort of solidify the midfield, and then played him as an attacking midfielder because he knows that he gets into the box and gets goals. And with regards to Johnny Evans and Amrabat, they came on the 92nd minute, and I think that was more of a one. We had 6 minutes of extra time to play, so let's kill off a few minutes. But two, also, it was very much right, we're shutting down now, no one's getting past. So again, good win for us, 2-1 win for us. My prediction, right, so I predicted a 3-2 win for us. I predicted a 3-2 win for us, which was, not too far off. We got a 2-1 in the end. It could have easily been 3-2. It could have easily gone towards Aston Villa, to be completely honest. The game could have gone either way today. We just happened to be cooler, a little bit more composed, and get the goal at the end. So like I said, 2-1 was the final score. At the start, I said the three factors were individual errors, so focus, do your job. And quite frankly, to be honest with you, we saw a lot less individual errors today. We still saw a few. We saw some from Varane. I think, like I said, not a great game for him, but that's okay. But it was a lot less, and a lot more players sort of working together as a team defensively. Then the second one was be aware of their transition, speed and power. And I said that the wing-backs obviously overlap and they work together. And what we need was our wing-backs and our wingers working together, stopping their overlapping, because they obviously transition into a very attacking team. So it's almost like a 3-2-5, formation. They just go all-out attack, which we saw today throughout the game consistently. But I did think our wingers did well in tracking back. They did close down there. I would like to see less shots reaching Onana, because 10 shots reached them. But what I did see was a lot of blocks from outside the box, players being closed down, which was good to see, And then the last point that I mentioned at the start of the game was more of the same up front, and I want to see attackers getting more of the ball and more joy. Our wingers are getting the ball; they are getting joy. Rasmus Højlund, I don't think is getting enough service yet. I still think he's living off scraps. I still want to see games where we're getting him 4 or 5 chances, see what he can do with that kind of stuff. At the moment, he's living off 1 or 2 chances, and most of the time, he's creating those chances for himself. I still want to see more from our team in terms of service to him. And then finally, just a few final thoughts, guys. Aerial duels won us the game today. We were better in the air. That's where we got the 2 goals from. It could have easily been a game where Villa could have taken a point or 3 points. There were periods in the game where we could have crumbled, but it was good to see the team reacting in a way where we didn't crumble. We sort of took a breath, took a minute, composed ourselves, and then sort of went back at it again. So it's always tough when you're winning 1-0 to concede a goal and then to have to push forward and get another goal. So well done to the team today. It's a big win for us. We're still in the same position. We're still 6th. But what we do is we close the gap from what it was a couple of weeks ago to 5 points to get to Villa in 5th position, and only 6 points to Tottenham Hotspurs in 4th position, which I do think we will catch by the end of the season. Next up, obviously, we've got Luton Town with another must-win game, and this isn't a draw game, but we have to win against Luton Town if we want to keep up the chase and keep up the pressure to Spurs. And we're away at Kenilworth Road, should I say, sorry. And I expect the atmosphere there to be quite intense, to be quite loud, as most London teams can be, So exciting times for us, guys. Big win. Got away with it a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But we did what we had to get the 3 points today, so well done to the team. It's been your boy Rob here at Red Devils Disciples. Hopefully catch you at the next one. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.